Now that our article is complete, we've dotted our I's and checked our T's and made sure everything is perfect, it's time to publish it so the world can read it. And this is where the publish panel comes in. So far in the course, we've only used the save draft and preview buttons, but now let's take a look at the rest of the panel. Of course, on the bottom right, you have the publish button, and this is the button you'll be hitting every time you're finished creating either a post or a page, and this is what makes the post public. You also have a move to trash button, and this is what will put your post or your page into the trash bin in WordPress.com. Once it's in the trash bin, you can either retrieve it from the trash bin and work on it later, or you can delete it permanently. The reason for putting an article in the trash bin instead of just leaving it as draft is simply that. If you leave it as a draft, it'll always show up as a draft post, but if you put it in the trash bin, it'll go away unless you want to retrieve it later. But before we hit publish, let's take a look at the options within the publish panel. Starting at the top, you have the status. If you click on edit, you'll see that here you have two options currently. You have draft, which is the standard status for anything being written inside WordPress.com, and you also have pending review. Pending review kicks in if you have several users on your site that are contributing to the site, but they don't have a user status that allows them to publish content. They could be contributors or authors. In that case, they'll be able to write content for you, but they won't be able to publish it to make it public. Instead, they'll be filed as pending review, and then you can review the article and then choose whether or not you want to publish it. But if you're writing content only for yourself, draft is the standard option. So I'm simply going to hit cancel here. You'll see later that once we publish the article, the statuses will change. Next, we have visibility. The default here is public, meaning anyone can see the content. If the post is public, you can also choose to make it a sticky post by checking this stick this post to the front page option, and it does just that. It means that the post, because it's sticky, is always at the top of the front page, so that even if you publish new posts later, this post will still be at the top. You can use this if you want to feature content, and you can also use it if you have an old article that you want to put back on the front page for some reason without changing the date. You can have as many sticky posts as you want, and in some themes, sticky posts are used to populate sliders and other types of galleries on the front page. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the sticky post, but for certain situations, it's useful. So remember that it's here, and you can activate it if you want to. Next, you have password protected. If you check this option, you can set a password for your article, and only people who have the password will be able to see it. So when they visit the URL, they'll be prompted for a password, and if they don't have the right password, all they'll get is a blank page. The last option is private. It makes the article private, so only people who can actually log into your site will be able to see it. This is great if you're making a private website for your family or someone else, and you want to restrict access to either a post or a page to specific people. For the most part though, you want to leave this as public. We've already discussed revisions, so let's look at the last option here, publish on. This is the publishing date for your article. So normally if you just click publish, the publishing date and time will be exactly when you click publish. But you can change this to any time you want, both forward in time and backwards in time. So for example, if you write an article now, but you want to publish it next week, you can simply go in here and change the date to the date next week. You can even go as far as defining a specific time for the article to be published. Likewise, if you are republishing an old article, you can go back in time, change the year, and publish it, for instance, on February 2000, if you want to. All that happens here is that the publishing date listed under the article will change. It also means that in the chronological stream, the older an article is based on this date, the lower down in the stream it will appear. But in most cases, you want simply to publish right now, so then you leave it alone. I haven't set the publicize option, so this is not currently an option for me, but once that's connected, we'll also be able to use those features once we publish content. But we're going to leave that for now and cover it later in the course. So now, all that's left to do for me is simply click the publish button. Once my post is published, I can now use this link up here, view post. I'll open it in a separate tab and see what my article looks live on the internet. And I can also jump to the front page of my site and see my article appear on the front page. And when I go back, you'll see a couple of things have changed. The status is now published, and if I click edit, I can now choose to change it back to draft or pending review. And if I do so, I'll take it offline again so people can't see it. So that's the easy way of doing it if you accidentally published content. You can also change the visibility and go back and look at revisions and change the publishing dates even though the post is already made public. And this is what's really interesting about WordPress. Even though you've already set this and made it public, you can still go back and change any element you see on this page because nothing is ever permanent. So if you publish a post or a page and then you want to take it offline, simply change it back to draft, click OK, and update, and the article goes back into draft status and disappears off my front page. But of course, I want this article to be live, so I'm going to click on Publish again, check on the front page to make sure it's actually live, and once I see it is, I'm ready to write my next article.